Alright lads, what's going on? Staceman here. Today we're back for week 3 of Dana White's Contender series. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one because I will get out of the way quite quickly that this could be the worst actual quality of superstars we've had on the show yet. This could be one of the worst episodes because the first fight of the night, terrible. This fight probably should have been the main event. This one's probably the most interesting fight, Perez. So Alec Lawrence is just coming in to get decimated. This is not terrible, and the main event looks really poor on paper. Now, I could be completely wrong. Look, I'll start with the first fight of the night. We'll start with Duran Abbey. Now, I'm actually going to pick Duran Abbey as he is 6'6", and I will explain why. Look, he's got on a 3-fight winning streak. None of these wins are impressive. Becoming kind of this standard that the UFC are now looking for. They're grabbing these off Fight Pass. They have quality of the fight, and it's like dishwater. To be genuinely honest, it is utter scutter. So Abbey obviously fought Patrick Martin here. And in that fight, I have the notes in front of me in case people are wondering what I'm looking at. He had some strong leg kicks, and he was tearing up a front leg. He tears up the lead leg. It's really good. But he does he keeps his head very high, hands low enough, especially when he gets tired, the hands drop. And he has a very hittable chin. He's not fast really on the feet, but he has nice teep kicks and a nice body side kick. He really pushes away when he hits the teep as well. It's just a few things where he just doesn't look great. His takedown defense is very slow. Doesn't really do a massive amount correct. But the main reason I'm going to pick him to win it is because of all his experience in bare knuckle and kickboxing. I understand in MMA he hasn't done a massive amount. He's, only 6-4, 7-4, going to fight Dante Johnson, of course, and he's finished all these fights basically pretty quickly, or decisions. Both decisions nearly here were not great, and at Tim Johnson lost, he kept the hands low. But to what I'm going to say is, with his reach and his height, he should actually be able to get this fight done in the first round, because to be honest, as we move over to Dante Johnson, he has also not obviously fought exactly great amount of stuff. Like, you see someone coming in from North Idaho Fights 21 and Super Brawl and stuff like this, you really start to wonder. He beat someone who, what's his record now? 3-12, I guess, on the Contender series. I mean, it's always a low enough bracket, but 0-2, 1-2. Okay, he was 0-3, but he's probably 3-1. And, it's interesting stuff. Like, I did also forget to mention that Patrick Martin was actually 41, so it wasn't really a great look to go to decision with someone who's 41. So let me just actually add that in there. But back to Johnson over here, Dante Johnson. Look, personally, I originally watched all of his fights, thought he keeps his feet loose, hands are low, he does kind of stay on the back foot, he kind of gets pushed past the black line quite a bit, not really much pressure done by him. The one thing that makes me nervous about him is he's very, very, very slow at picking shots. He tries to just land the perfect finish shot, and no real setups or combos. There's no real jab, there's no real straights, there's no exactly dynamic weapons. It's just trying to land the perfect strike. And I think if you go into a certain fight against someone like Abbey, who is pretty decent at boxing and kickboxing, who will not just try and pick shots, both chins will be high. I do think the best bet for this fight is first round KO, or just this fight to end in the first round. I think that's the best bet out of this fight. If this makes it past 5 minutes, pray to God there's oxygen in the arena, because both will need it. Dante Johnson 100% will need it. He's never gone out of the first round in any of his fights, and his cardio in that James Ford fight and the Ryan Perk fight, as they got later, evaporated. He was like the Brazilian fella who fought Hogic last week, who just literally got finished because he was that tired he couldn't move his head. He just sat there like a baby and got punched up. This could happen. Downton Abbey, I'm going to pick him as the underdog because I believe that this is a straight fight. If this is a straight boxing match, straight kickboxing match, Abbey has the tools, and if this gets past first round, which I don't think it will, but if it does, I favour Abbey a lot more because the cardio is going to evaporate from Johnson, I'm telling you. But I should probably keep stuff up. His cardio seems very weak. He comes in blitzing is another thing I kind of wanted to mention. He comes in blitzing quite a bit. He doesn't really set a massive amount up. It's kind of like the way I would have described Justin Gaethje in like the outside UFC and the UFL, where he literally just blitzed everyone he fought because no one could really land a punch on him. I think that Johnson is one of these type of people that believes almost that there is no one who can finish him, or that he has taken the biggest shots from a lot of people, till he runs into someone who has heavy hands like Albie. I think he could easily hit the mat. Yeah, I think that's probably it. There's not great striking defense. He also has a 6 foot. He's 6 foot taller than me, 6'6" for 6 foot. You have to assume there's going to be a big reach. I don't know the reaches, unfortunately. I did not write them down this week. But yeah, we'll start with Albie taking the first one. And as I stated in the intro, I think Carlos Perez versus Manuel Souza should have been the main event, or should have at least been, the main attraction, because this fight actually looks really, really good on paper. I'll start with Perez. Perez is coming from Global Combat League, basically the same, Global Combat. I thought it was called Global Combat League, but Global Combat. He has an array of finishes, array of decisions. He probably is one of the best fighters that you could really research for this. Of course, his first 5 wins are all nearly first round besides that decision. He's been pushed against some good fighters. The fights I was able to see of him were that Pantinia fight, Candoni, Alvarez, and Odoz. They were the fights I was able to see of him. Let me see. Can I find... Yeah. So, starting with Perez, he kind of actually has some really, really good leg locks. He's kind of like the Indian with the rolls. He knocked that off quite a few times in the first round against against Bruno Canatia there. He did finish him, obviously. I know I said it in the first round. It was only a minute. He looked light in the feet. He looked light in the feet for me. He was definitely good at trying to get past the hips. He'd try and throw strikes to unsettle you, to get past the hips, try to take it down. It was one of those things where sharp boxing, he definitely trains with some Mexican boxers, or has done boxing background. He has some sharp strikes. He trains in the Goat Shed. I don't know if there's any actual known. Oh, okay. So Gillian Robinson would be in his gym. So would Eileen Perez. Maybe not great actual men's fighters. I don't think I know most of them, but they do all seem to have some pretty extensive history. I don't think I know any of them, to be honest. Oh no, Hector Lombard would have been in his gym. Okay, well, that maybe about 10 years ago would have been very good. But I assume he's a coach. Yeah, if you're getting coached by Hector Lombard, your striking's going to be good and your wrestling's going to stay. He picks his shots well. To me, I do think that it's one of those ones where he has very, very quick hands. He can pick shots, he can knock off combinations for able to throw back. As we go into more of his fights, like the Pereira fight here, I think he has very, very strong leg kicks. He's one of those ones where he digs into the calf, kind of like a Johnny Walker sort of style. Tucks his chin well. He definitely has a very, very good boxing defense. When someone comes in to go strike, his hands are up and his chin's tucked. He's not going to get caught. I would say that it's more great pressure. He holds position well on the ground. That's something I noticed as well. When he got into top mount, he didn't really panic. He wasn't someone to try and just force a finish. He kind of stayed calm, stayed on top. He has a great jab. He works behind a great jab, may I say. His boxing skills are brilliant. Chin is hittable, but I do think that he is one of those people that can get a bit reckless, if you understand what I mean. I think it's just he can kind of take your biggest shot and not take it on the chin and not fall. So personally, I think Perez wins this fight, but I will go on and talk about Manuel Souza. So the fights I was able to find of Souza were the Barrios fight. I did not see that loss. I was able to find the Tim Weed fight and the Liaya fight. They're the fights I was able to find. I do think that he puts a lot into the first round of his fights. It's one of those ones where he tries to swing for the fences with power shots, and he has the cardio, so it's fine. But as you can see by his record, he gets a lot of finishes in the first round. That's kind of what it's based on to me. He's really only gone to decision with that Liaria fight, which I actually thought he lost. I thought Liaria actually beat him. Liaria was kind of beating him to a lot of the wrestling transitions, a lot of the grappling. He was winning the Wizard. I do think he was a bit of a hard decision. Lucas Barrios one was kind of the same. It was grappling but making mistakes where you need to be there. My main one with this is I think he's very reckless when he swings. I think he comes in chin high, sort of tries to break the guard of a fighter, but it doesn't really work. I think that if he tries this against Perez will catch him and Perez will knock him out. Now, he does use subs very well to stop takedowns, so if you obviously shoe in on him, he will try a guillotine, and Anaconda, he'll try to jump to his back. It doesn't always work, as I've said in this Liaria fight. It was probably one of his major downfalls. He was jumped to his back, letting Liaria sit on him, and then kind of struggling to get up. he looks a bit slow on the feet personally, and his back is like, he kind of just tries to take the back too much. It's one of those things where I don't think his takedown defense is massively brilliant either. His cardio is definitely something I question, because a lot of these fighters, the area is... he's actually only 33. Okay, he looked a lot older. I know Tim Wilde was 41, and he was even starting to... 39, 38, 39. He was even starting to look a bit slow against him. Archie is 30, and Lucas Barrios was 32. A lot of these fighters, he starts to slow down after the first round, and it really doesn't work to his... it's a detriment to him, to where I think if he does it... if he does it in this fight, I think Perez can take over. I think Perez can find gaps when he loses stamina and starts to swing a bit wildly. I'm going to pick Perez, and I do think this should be the main event. I think it'll probably be the best fight of the night. Next, we move into Anakin. Okay, look, I'm going to be realistic here. I was going to waste my time actually researching this fight. Then I looked at Alec Lodensen's fights and his record. This man has beaten Cans and lost to Albie. That's his only loss. He has beaten utter Cans. He hasn't got around one besides the Ryan Parker fight, to where Ryan Parker didn't actually look terrible inside the fight. It was just one of those things where Lorenz is just a heavy striker with okay wrestling. That's it. Like Ben Parrish, like 7-5, big tuna. I mean, look, a majority of these wins are not impressive. Thomas Powell is 5-6. None of these are impressive. Abdul Yera Karamis, he's going to be very much the same as Bakashore that we've already had on the card, who's already made his UFC appearance. I think he gets a first round KO here. I actually say it's by body kick, even though I see a lot of submissions on his record and I've seen them. I don't think that it's really going to be in the fight that much. No, Alec could fail a takedown and just get submitted. I would just say Turkish man here by finish. Probably not going to be any odds, but by finish, maybe under 1.5 rounds, I think is probably the smart one. I'm not going to waste my time. There is obviously upsets on this show, and I'm not just going to say the bookmakers are right, but on this one I feel that they're right. Right, we'll move into Barboza here now. I do have these fights actually done. Marcelo Barboza, I was able to see what fights I was able to find of him. I was able to find this Jameson Oliveira fight from... okay, one of these Oliveira's from 2021. I was able to fight... oh no, sorry, this Felipe Oliveira fight, sorry, the most recent fight he had, and Wellington. I was able to find both them, and his Gabriel Santos loss. So, from what I'm able to see from him, and you're able to see from the record here, the man really doesn't go to decision. It's very seldom that he goes to decision. That could be a detriment of his now, to be personally honest. But he does have fast hands and he's powerful. If he spin, he does try to circle you to the left side, because the left side is the power side of him. If he lands it to the left, you could get finished. It is a very, very powerful left hook. I think that he used very good... just... look, okay, I was going to have longer notes here, but these are all just first round finishes. And even in the Gabriel Santos fight, he landed on the left side, dropped them. Cardio went because he boosted trying to finish him, then got head kicked in the second round. It's respectable, I get it. In these other fights, he did just, as I say, circle him to the left, land big, knock him out. Simple as that. It's not really something that I can say too much about him, because I haven't really seen him in too many wrestling situations in most of these fights, because they're all in the first round. It's kind of hard. The decision that I actually, now that I remember, was able to find was very poor, because it was back in 2021. I assume he's way better than that. His takedown defense in that fight was okay, but I assume you make bounds. The only issue I'd have with him is his cardio. If this doesn't get finished in the first round, I'd be very nervous, because this fighter, the person he's fighting, is Damon Wilson. Now, Damon Wilson the Nomad comes from Cage Warriors. Now, personally, I don't see Cage Warriors as a great promotion. I've seen them live in Dublin. I've watched quite a few of their cards. It's just one of the things where I just don't think there's great talent coming from there anymore. Besides Tom and Paddy are probably the two biggest stars. Maybe Lona Kavanagh, but he got finished on the weekend, that they've really brought over. Hopefully Luke Riley does well, but it's one of those ones where you have to kind of look at it that he's not beating exactly great competition. Now, in the defense of him, in some of these decisions, he does look pretty decent. But to me, I do think that his grappling is okay, but his takedown defense is poor. Like, he's one of these type of fighters that has really, really good, like, leg kicks. He can keep you on your feet with leg kicks. He doesn't really move his feet, plants a bit too much, and he kind of just tries to just blitz and flurry instead of trying to pick strikes. Personally, these two finishes are good, but they're also from long times of him being held on the ground and having to get back up. I just can't really take someone from Cage Warriors. It's hard for me to do, so I will pick Barboza. I don't think that Damon Wilson's the worst fighter in this card. I just cannot pick someone from Cage Warriors. It's just, he just didn't show me enough from what I was able to see. I think Barboza first round finish. And we'll move to the main event. Now, this could be one of the worst main events that we might have this season, because to be honest, Trent Miller comes from the United Fight League. Well, actually, he's fought nearly everywhere, being fair. He's fought in Tough Enough, Bermuda, Tough Enough again. But the main issue that I have with him is his record is just not very impressive. Like, your last win was against someone who's 7-10. Dylan O'Sullivan, I was able to find that fight. He fought very well in that fight. It went to decision. He showed that he had 3-round cardio. He's done it with a lot of fighters. His loss there to the face crank was just unlucky. He dropped him in the first round. They actually had a pretty close fight. That one in the United Fight League, yeah, that was very slow, very sloppy, looked terrible. Both of them looked like they hadn't really been training MMA that long. Nash definitely didn't look like it. It was one of those things where he has powerful hands, but he struggles to kind of stay like with the pressure as such. He kind of rebuts if someone lands big. It's one of those things where I think his chin isn't the greatest, to be fair. Like, you know, a submission in the first round, arm submission in the first round, none of it really makes me that interested in him. I think it's very much if he hits the mat inside this fight, he will struggle to get back up. He struggles when an opponent's bigger than him, when he just isn't really there. He does hold his chin very high. His leg kicks are good, but he's slow on the feet. It's one of those things where I just don't really see it. Now, when we go on the flip side to Granada, there also is another one here with Granada I'm not really sure about, because I think two lads in this main event, even though this looks like Alex Tellez, both these are very questionable in cardio. You will see right here that Granada's barely gone out with the first round. It's a hard one to question about stamina between both them. To me, Granada comes in, he holds his hands a bit low with a high chin. He has a very karate type stance. He doesn't really throw as many leg kicks as I thought he was, but when he's there, he can throw very heavy lead leg kicks, not body kicks. He doesn't really throw body kicks, but lead leg kicks. He kind of stays in a bit of a strange range, because he's definitely taller coming into this fight. He's only 2 inches taller. He just stays kind of strange in the way that he strikes. It's one of those ones where it's kind of looping shots, not really straight, trying to break a guard. He has power if he's able to get a jab started or land straight. Now, I do believe that the landing straight could be there, because Trent, I don't think is going to move his head off the centre line at all. So I do think the strikes will be there. And yeah, cage side, he's good. He keeps pressure, he keeps you behind the black line, he keeps you on the cage, he kind of gets you circling into stuff. The cage, actually, yeah, that was something I did want to talk about. Luis Fabiano here, FIFA 12 legend. The cage that he fought in that night was really small. It was like even smaller than the Apex octagons. It was kind of hard to, like, for him to basically finish him, because every time he got close, he got caught. He just would get grabbed and dragged down to the ground. Now, if I'm being personally honest, I will say that Granada wins it. I think Granada probably gets a first round finish. I think he's able to keep his shots straight, even looping them. I don't think Trent's going to move his head enough. He's going to keep the pressure on the front line. I think he's going to be able to catch him on the cage side. But if you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button or hit subscribe button, hit the red button. Now that you aren't subscribing, I said this now and it's actually getting a few subs, so please, if you do remember it, please hit, and I will see you next week for another one of these. Peace.